10-yard penalty, confusion on the play. Hello everyone, and welcome. Welcome to a two-part video series. Part number 1, rules of the game. So there's no red flags or yellow flags. Part number 2, a flipped classroom.
Hello everyone. You should have now been handed the rules for your particular classroom. And so we're going to, what, you weren't handed those? You weren't handed those? Okay. Pause the video here so you get the rules for the class right now. Okay, now that you all have the papers, finally, then it's time to go ahead and take a look at the rules. So we're going to ask you to pause the video for just a moment to get 2 minutes to look at the rules without asking any questions. You can, however, talk to your neighbor, and at the end of 2 minutes, we will start going to something more in depth. So pause the video now. Okay, now that you had a chance to look it over for 2 minutes, it's time for us to take your focus and your attention to some of the parts specifically to make sure you understand how to be successful in our classes. So, take a moment and look over the late work and the make-up work policies, and you're going to be able to ask your teacher some specific questions about that. So pause the video now. Okay, now that all of those questions have been answered, it's time to take a look at another portion, tardies and attendance. It's time to see what it's like if you come in late or what will happen if you're absent. So pause the video now. Okay, and finally, it's time to look and see if there's any other questions, if there's anything that doesn't make sense to you, because when you come in the classroom tomorrow, you are held accountable for the rules and the regs in each of your particular classrooms. So, pause this video now and be able to ask your teacher any questions that you want so you feel good about the rules before you leave. Thank you.
So hopefully you all noticed that there was a word misspelled in the previous slide. What was it? At the count of 3, why don't you go ahead and say what that word was? 1, 2, 3. Hopefully you all said Mac. Well, that would be correct. But let's go ahead and start to talk about what the flipped classroom is. We've already talked about our rules, so you should be good on that. And if you have any further questions, go ahead and ask your teacher. But now let's talk about and clarify what the flipped classroom really is. Really what the flipped classroom really is a very simple concept that involves you doing certain things at home and other things in the classroom. The things that you will be doing at home typically involve presentations that will be presented online that you'll have to look at. Sometimes they'll be in the form of a YouTube video or a PowerPoint, but you are then required to know that information and then come to class having watched that information. Sometimes there will be a quiz to test that you've actually seen it. Sometimes there won't, and that'll just be on you. The real important thing about the flipped classroom is that it allows your teacher to bring certain things into the classroom that you may not otherwise have time to do because they're spending their time presenting information. It's really important that you watch these videos online. It's also really important that you then spend the time in class participating in what the teacher is presenting. But that's really what the flipped classroom is. It's very simple, and we hope you guys enjoy it.
Hello children, Groucho Marx here. Just reading up on a bit, sorry, mustache in the mouth, of Washington's Rules of Civility and Decent Behavior. Rule number 1, every action done in company ought to be with some sign of respect to those who are present. Excuse me. Rule number 2, show nothing to your friend that may affright him. Ah! Shenanigans. Rule number 7, put not off your clothes in the presence of others, and leave not your chambers half-dressed. Ah! All right, how do I stop this thing?